A person who shakes the financial system of the whole world within 24 hours, which even the most powerful bank of the world cannot face. Yes, the name of this person is George Soros, who ruined the Bank of England in this way by falling the British pound. As if it was a game of snakes and ladders, no one in the world had thought of such a short ceiling, and that is why Soros got the title of the man who broke the Bank of England. But this was just the beginning. Offies the influence was not just limited to the financial market, but from Asia to Russia and from Europe to America. Soros had shaken the political and economic system of the entire world. Even now, an arrest warrant was issued against Adani and USA. People believe that Soros is also behind this, but the question arises how a person who kept begging for his life under Nazi rule became so powerful that it became a headache for the whole world. Man became an unknown mystery by converting his struggles into strength. Today, everyone wants to know what is the actual net worth of George Soros and whether he is the richest person in the world. That is why today we are discussing those unexplored and mysterious controversies related to the life of George Soros. Let us know what made him a powerful figure. Friends, George Soros is the name which issued with every major financial scandals and controversies in the world in the headlines. Sometimes he becomes a hero and sometimes a villain. Some of Soros's friends say that he wants to give a new future to the world, while his enemies call him a manipulator who never shies away from impoverishing the world for his own benefit. But he has what is the power that they can give a fight to the entire country and the big banks, because the fall of the British pound was just a beginning, followed by the financial crisis of Asia, the economic collapse of Russia and Japan. Soros' earthquake in the economy has also troubled many powerful countries of the world. But the question arises that how did it all start? Well, friends, where does it start? 94 years ago, because at this time in Budapest, Hungary, a child like this, he was born in a period when the whole world was in the grip of World War, and the name of the same child was George Soros. During the Nazi occupation, George and his family had to learn only one thing: how to survive. Actually, Soros was born in a gambling family in an environment where there was fear of death every moment. His father taught him a new way of survival. He said that if we have to stay alive, then at this time we should know our true identity. We have to forget that he had started calling his mother Annie. In this way had saved himself from the eyes of the Nazis with a new name and a new religion. At this time a new thought had arisen inside George. He had accepted that life just wanted is an adventure, and if courage and cleverness are used, then every difficulty can be overcome. This developed a confidence in George which later became the basis of his high-risk decisions in his life after Hungary emerged from Nazi rules. With a dream of doing something big, George goes to London, and taking admission in the London School of Economics proved to be a turning point for him, because it was here that him met his mentor philosopher Karl Popper. Theory of reflexive witty proves to be a game-changer for him. Actually, theory of reflexively says that the market does not run only on demand and supply, but human perception also plays a big role in the movement of the market. George applied this theory in his trading strategy. He believed that if he understood the market trends and psychology of investors, he could earn huge profits, and that's it. It is this thinking that makes him different from other traders in the world. After a few years, now the time had come to implement the thinking learned from his mentor Karl Popper in real life. With this intention, in the year 1970, George started a company named Quantum Fund. Introduction of hedge fund. Hedge fund is an investment fund where big investors put their money, and the fund manager uses different strategies to earn profit by investing that money. Now, this quantum fund of George was not a common investment fund, but it was prepared on a model which was completely new in the hedge fund industry. Here his approach was very risky. George applied the same theory in this quantum fund. The approach which he had learned from Popper in his theory of reflexivity was setting a new benchmark in the hedge fund industry. Through this fund, George made such deals in which the risk was very high. But if his guess had been correct, the returns would have been equally huge. In maximum cases, his guess turned out to be correct, and Quantum Fund soon became one of the largest hedge funds in the world. This daring and unconventional strategist of George Soros gave him a different identity, showed that the formula of high risk and high reward can actually work if the market is understood deeply, and from here their journey started moving towards more interesting and dangerous turns. 1992 proved to be the biggest turning point in the life of George Soros because this was the year when George Soros brought one of the world's largest banks to its knees. What actually happened was that in the beginning of 1992, England entered into the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, IRM. Used to be part of the British Commonwealth of Nations in which the British pound was pegged to European currencies at a fixed rate. This meant that if the value of the pound began to fall, England had to withdraw its currency reserves. This system was very important because its purpose was to maintain currency stability and economic growth in Europe, but Soros observed something else here. According to his analysis, the value of the British pound was artificially high. This was because England was using its currency reserves to keep the value of the pound stable, and this move compromised England's financial stability. What was happening here was that George thought that if the value of the British pound comes back to its original position, that is, decreases, then he can make a lot of money by short selling against it. Friends, short selling is actually a strategy in which the investor borrows the asset and sells it to someone else in the hope that its value will fall in the future, and later when the price falls, he buys that asset at a lower price and returns it to the old person. This is how he gets profit. Friends, after Trump won the US election, a new wave has come in the crypto market, and due to its impact, Bitcoin is at its all-time high. This was a very high-risk plan which perhaps no other trader could have done, so decided to take advantage of this opportunity through his quantum fund. He kept observing the currency market carefully for a few days, and then finally on September 16, 1992, Soros made short selling of $10 billion against the British pound. This amount had become a record in itself, and this decision created a stir in the market. All the investors started following this move of George because everyone knew that if an experienced trader like George is taking such a big position, then there must be something wrong in it. As a result, the value of the pound started falling continuously, and the Bank of England realized that their plan to keep the currency stable was no longer working. The Bank of England injected billions of pounds from its reserves into the market to keep the pound at its fixed value. Interest rates were also increased so that the economy could be saved from collapse, but the impact of George's $10 billion short sale was so dangerous that every effort of the Bank of England started failing. Now the Bank of England was in a very difficult situation, that either they should preserve their currency and continue to use the reserves, or they should take the pound out of the IRM, which would prove to be a big defeat for the economy of England. Ultimately, when the Bank of England realizing that he was not able to control this crisis, he raised his hands and officially took the pound out of the RUM. This was a moment that shook the whole world. George Soros' powerful financial system was brought down. George Soros, who had stood as a pillar in the European economy, earned a profit of about $1 billion in a single day and became one of the most controversial traders in the world. George Soros is everywhere in the market. This incident of Black Wednesday showed the world how powerful traders like George Soros can be. However, the media and political leaders considered this decision of George a dangerous move for the economy, and also accused him of that he manipulates the economy of other countries for his own benefit. This was the moment in his life where a controversy was associated with his name after Black Wednesday. Now the moves of George Soros started being closely followed in the market, along with his theory of reflexivity. His human psychology and deep understanding of market trends became the basis of the new era of the financial world. But even after doing all this, George Soros's life was full of controversy. This journey was not going to stop, but in 1997 a time came again when Soros currency trade created a stir in some countries of Asia. During 1997, some countries of Asia like Thailand, Malaysia, and South Korea were going through economic boom. These countries were moving towards rapid development and growth, but George Soros saw a shortcoming here. He saw that the economy of these countries was dependent on foreign investment and borrowing. They are highly dependent on their economic stability, which is artificially created, but this time their target was Thailand's baht currency. According to the calculations, Soros started short selling against the currency. He predicted that this currency will lose its artificial high value after some time because this country will not be able to maintain its currency at such a high level. With this new strategy of George, in response, the Central Bank of Thailand began to defend its currency, and reserves were used to keep the currency stable, as was done in England. But Thailand could not bear this pressure, and within a short time the value of baht started falling. This crash shook the economy of Thailand, due to which people went into panic. The effect of this collapse of Thailand is now felt in other Asian countries like Malaysia and Indonesia. Investors and traders also started withdrawing their funds due to this panic, and gradually financial instability came across Asia. Soros lost nearly $1 billion, had earned profit of billions of rupees by short selling of dollars. Especially the leaders of Thailand and Malaysia said that George's actions had destabilized the economy of their country. In response to this, Soros said that his intention was to bring down any economy. Rather, he took advantage of the weakness, but this further spoiled his image and he started being seen as a villain in Asia. This incident proved that if any economy in India is stable but its policies and structure are weak, so they can be challenged at any time. After the Asian financial crisis, the image of George Soros is no longer just that of a trader but has become that of a financial manipulator who can shake the entire economy. But the controversial moves of George Soros were not going to stop now. The next stop for him was Russia, where his currency trades made even bigger profits. In fact, in 1998, Russia was going through a severe economic crisis. Due to the fall in oil prices and instability in the economy, Russia's financial system was weakening, and to take advantage of this, Soros tried to devalue the Russian currency ruble. Although the Russian government tried its best to keep the ruble stable, the condition of the economy had already become very fragile. The result was the same as in Asia and England. Friends, this happened in the 90s, and people think that maybe they would not do such work now, but during George Soros's 2013-14, Japan was trying to get its economy out of deflation. Deflation is a situation in which there is a shortage of goods. Prices keep falling continuously, and this stops economic growth. For this, the government of Japan had created a new strategy called Abenomics, which aims to increase inflation and used to focus on boosting the economy. But when Soros analyzed this entire situation, he found that the value of yen could fall further under the Abenomics policy. This was a risk in which there was a danger of big loss, but look at this luck. The bet was also successful, due to which he earned a profit of almost $1 billion. Although by now George Soros had become a villain in the eyes of the whole world, but very few people know that George Soros is just not only a controversial trader, but also a philanthropist who donates a large part of his earnings to good causes in the world, because in 1979, Soros started the Open Society Foundation, which is his biggest philanthropic project of this foundation. The mission is to promote democracy, human rights, and freedom. They have also invested in universities and educational projects in some countries of Europe and in South Africa. He has also stood against discrimination. In the year 2017, he donated $18 billion to this foundation, which is a huge amount. Because of that donation, today George Soros's net worth is only $6.5 billion. Otherwise, at one time, it was $25 billion. $1 billion had been crossed, but despite all this, there are many controversial allegations against Soros OSF, where some political groups say that the real objective of OSF is he has to impose his own political agenda. Some countries like Hungary and Russia have banned OSF, saying that this organization interferes in their internal matter. However, on the other hand, through OSF, Soros' influence is very strong across the world. What has happened is that he has donated a large part of his wealth, especially to support weak and small democracies. However, George Soros only works in the financial market. Not only this, he is also considered a big player in global politics. For example, at the time of Brexit, Soros had openly supported the European Union. For information, let us tell you that Brexit means Britain's separation from the European Union. In fact, in 2016, there was a referendum in Britain. Voting took place in which people were asked whether their country should remain a part of the EU or secede, and most of the people decided not to stay with the EU, but George Soros openly supported the EU. It was said that the unity of Europe is necessary for a strong economy, but some people said that in reality a large part of Soros's investments are spread across Europe, and the strengthening of the European Union would only provide more protection to his investments. Not only in Europe, George Soros has also played a significant role in U.S. politics, especially during the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections. Financially supported the Democratic Party and liberals, whose president was Joe Biden. Soros believes that his policies promote equality, human rights, and social justice, and he also supports policies that protect health care, climate change, and minority rights. But on the other hand, conservative groups whose political vision is considered traditional and right-wing are not in favor of Soros. Influence is seen as a threat. Conservative groups say that Soros uses his money and influence to manipulate American politics. Overall, the story of Soros is like an unsolved mystery. The question still remains that for the world. Whether he is a hero or a villain depends on how you see Soros. Let me know in comment. And please subscribe channel for interesting more videos. Thank you.